Hey y'all, my name is Greg Madden with Self-Reliance Publishing, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a plastic tote worm bin. A worm bin like this one right here. These things are super popular and they're really easy to make, which makes them a good way to get started raising worms. You can slap a system like this together for around 50 bucks, including a pound of worms, so you don't have a lot to risk. If you kill some worms, you're not going to be out a whole lot of money. And the skills you learn managing this worm bin will easily translate to larger systems down the road if you intend to go bigger. This video is going to be my take on the system and also be sort of an introduction to a series I'm doing on how to raise worms and what you need to know to get started. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started on this project. Alright, so for this project you don't need a whole lot. You really only need one 10-gallon tote, but you can use up to 3, and I'll show you some different options with that later on down the road. We've got a 4-inch terracotta pot here, again sort of optional, but I'll show you what we're going to use that for. And then tools wise, just need a drill and a 1/4-inch to 3/8 inch drill bit, doesn't really matter, somewhere in that range, and a knife, a blade of some sort to clean up the burrs when you drill holes. So what we're going to do here is take 2 of our 10-gallon totes, and people use larger ones. I've seen people use the 18-gallon totes. It's really unnecessary. The worms that we're going to be using in these systems feed in the top layer of the bed, so you really only need about 8 inches of bed space, or you really only need the bedding to be 8 inches deep, and anything extra is just wasted space. So I like these 10-gallon totes personally. Makes the best use of space, in my opinion. There's also different shaped 10-gallon totes as well. I've seen some that are a lot taller. These are a little over 8 inches deep, and those are the ones that I like to use. So we're going to take our 2 totes, or 2 of our totes, and drill a bunch of holes in the bottom, about 2 inches apart. It doesn't have to be precise. Got holes drilled in the bottom of those 2 totes. We're going to take those same 2 totes and drill holes about 1.5 inches, 2 inches or so from the top, going all the way around the bin. Again, about every 2 inches. Doesn't have to be exact, but somewhere in there. Alright, so now that we've got the holes drilled in the totes and in the bottom and going around the edge, we're going to take our knife and get rid of all of the burrs that are left over from drilling. Alright, now we're all done, so I'll show you the setup. The classic setup is this. You've got two totes. The one that we didn't drill any holes in is in the bottom. And we've placed the 4-inch terracotta pot in the center here. And we've got this bin that we drilled holes in the bottom and along the sides that we're going to place in there on top of that. You put your bedding and your worms in the top bin and you feed them here. The idea is that moisture will drip down through the holes and collect in this basin in the bottom here. That's sort of the classic setup. You get started with the 2 bins and it's a good way of getting started. I'd recommend it for beginners. If you're running your bedding a little too wet, you won't have a mess around your bin because this will collect it all. The reality is, though, that if you're getting that much water dripping down, you're running your bedding way too wet. So if you've got a proper handle on the moisture content of your bedding, you really don't need this bottom bin. But I wanted to show it to you because, like I said, this is sort of the classic way of running a setup. After all of your bedding has been processed by the worms and you basically got pure castings in here, that's when the 3rd bin comes into play. You take that other bin that you drilled holes in and you set it right on top. It's going to be sitting up here like this because it's on top of the beddings. And you put your new bedding in the top bin, the 3rd bin, and you start feeding the worms up here. And the worms will start to migrate through the holes in the bottom here and come up here into this 3rd bin. After some time, once all the worms have come up, you can take this bin, take the 1st bin that had your bedding, that's got your worm castings, and now you've harvested your worm castings. So that's sort of the classic way of operating this set of bins. And for beginners, I'd recommend it. That way, if you do accidentally run your bedding too wet, you don't have a mess around your bin, like I said. And once you get a better handle on operating the system and your bedding's at the proper moisture content consistently, and you start having too many worms and you need to split your bins, then you can easily expand using the same bins. You really only need 1 bin at a time. So I've got 10 of these bins set up with worms in them currently. I guess I'm about to have 13. But I just run 1 bin by itself, and I place the lid underneath it. And if I do have any moisture coming out, the lid will catch it. But really I don't have a whole lot of moisture problems. So once you do grow, you can expand out to run 3 individual bins. Just drill holes in the bottom of this one and you're good to go. That's it for this video. I'm going to be putting out some other videos about how to raise worms and the different aspects involved. So please check those out. If you like the video, please like and please subscribe. I appreciate every view, every like, and every subscribe. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.